Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our second live chat session. I got a lot of new topics I'd like to discuss with you. Plus, I'd like to learn about what you're thinking about right now during the virus and stay-at-home order, and when we all think that will be over and everything. So let me start out by saying I hope everyone's well. Everyone's staying safe the best they can. I know I am trying to. I still have my Ping i500s waiting for further testing. I hope that'll be sooner than later. The Mizuno M9, which I'm just reviewed, and the Callaway Maverick, which I've already reviewed. So I'd like, got a couple topics I want to start with. I got my coffee and some fresh fruit for lunch. So first question I like to everyone, hi Mashi, is when do you think the courses will reopen? I know it depends on what state you're in, but when do you think it will reopen, and what will it take for the courses to reopen? Now I'm in Maryland, so our governor is been pretty strict, Governor Hogan. I don't know when we'll get back out. I don't have any sense, which is kind of the frustrating part. Yeah, I just got a comment here. Getting outside does make you feel less cooped up. I have to admit, I've gone for a few rides in my car, and it does make me feel better, as well as walking in the neighborhood. So let's start out by talking about when do we think courses in our area, your area, will get reopened, and what do you think it will take for that to happen? So I know in my area, again, Maryland, I think we're going to take a little longer than a lot of other states. Governor Hogan's been pretty strict on this stuff, and I hope we get out sooner than later. But my comfort feeling is if I can get on a golf course by mid-June to early July and feel comfortable on the course, that would be great. I think that would be great. Mash says, I think toward the end of May is when we will see courses open. Walk only, no clubhouse or pro shop. So that's how we kind of ended the season, right, Mash? The pro shop was closed, the food was closed, and in the last couple of days, they just allowed walking. So we might go back to where we started. I think for that to happen, Maryland, which right now is not on a downward trend, and you have to be on a downward trend to, hey, Mitch, you have to be on a downward trend for, I think, 14 straight days to consider getting to phase one. And I think courses could open in phase one. I just may think here in Maryland, it may take a little longer than in other states. I know some courses in Virginia people are playing. I'm not going to risk it and go out and do that till I feel safe. So I think that's an interesting topic. I hope privately owned courses can survive. Will we have to be wearing masks when we play at first? Will we have to go back to the old don't touch the flag stick, don't pick up someone else's ball, one person per cart? I think all those options are on the table. I got a question here. Do courses have the capacity to book a tee time and pay online? They do. So we have a membership here in Montgomery County where they own 9 courses, and you can book on a tee time online and show up and play. also they had the ability for you to pay toward the end of closing, where there was no personnel there. There was just a credit card reader, and you stuck your card in yourself and took it out. There were no receipts. But you can go online and book times, and I believe you'll be able to go in and pay for them when this all real opens, which I think is a pretty smart move. Interesting. So Mash tells us that a course near here, more higher end pay for play, just sent out an email that they will only take online payment. And I think that's really smart. I don't want to handle cash right now, so I think that makes a lot of sense. When they'll get open, Mash, that's the question, because again, they're in Maryland, and a lot of this relies on the governor. Mitch makes a great comment. No rakes. Also, they will allow families who quarantine together to share a cart. That's interesting. I think they should further space tee times to ensure no bunching at the tees. I think there's a lot of things they can do. I guess if you can prove that you and your wife and 2 children have been sheltered in place, they may give you 2 carts, two each. If I'm there with people I haven't sheltered in place or don't know, I would not want anyone riding in the cart with me. And if I had to, I would walk. But I would think I can only make 9 holes with my knees right now. So, yeah, I think those are all good. I think they'll keep the flags out and those foam sticks in, so we don't, touch the flag, and do hopefully common sense stuff like that. So let's hope this happens sooner than later. And I can't wait to get back out there. I miss my friends. I miss the social interaction more than I actually miss the golf. So another interesting topic I wanted to go over is, I don't know how many of you saw my Mizuno ST200 driver review. I thought it was an interesting review, and I got really different results from what most YouTubers got. Now, I've played with that driver. It's right here. Props to Mizuno for this awesome leather boxing glove type head cover. I've played a lot with that driver. And I tested my results on a GC quad, and I got some very different results with it. I don't know if any of you have tried the new Mizuno ST200. It's not going to get purchased a lot just because Mizuno is not known as a driver company. But I do think as more and more people try this driver, they're going to like it. Now, why I got different results than most people on YouTube is because I am older, I swing much slower, and I am a mid to high swinging golfer. So some of you may or may not know there are 2 types of swings. So there are some people that swing and get very low spin out of the ball, and there's some people who swing and get very high spin out of the ball. So I found it interesting that all these guys on YouTube who were in their 20s and early 30s, who were PGA pros, who hit the ball 300 plus and swing way over 100, said this was a low spinning driver, which for most average golfers is not beneficial. A low spinning driver just doesn't work for us slower swingers. So I took it out and tested it. And other than dialing in the dispersion, which could be down to the shaft I was using, I may have to find the right shaft. But here's the difference. I'm hitting a 10.5 shaft. Yeah, it's about the shaft, Mash, and the head. So I'm hitting a 10.5 head. So we all know that lower spinning drivers, if you increase the loft, you're going to help bring the spin up. So I'm playing a lower spinning, claimed to be what's a lower spinning driver, and I wasn't finding that out. So I went online and watched some of these younger guys who really smash the ball, and they're low spin golfers. It's a combination of their more professional swing. It's a combination of their swing speed, and they're getting much less spin out of the driver because they're playing an 8.5 to a 9.5 head. So when you have a low lofted driver head and you're playing an extra stiff shaft, you're going to get very little spin out of it. So I'm basically playing a 10.5 at 11 degrees. I have a higher spinning swing than they do, and a slower swing. So I was able to generate more spin out of it and got terrific distances on it. So again, regular flex shaft, low kick point, which is vital in a low spin driver for us slower swingers because it helps elevate and carry the ball, in a 10.5 head. So shaft does play a big role in it. I don't play an extra stiff and haven't for many years. Most people I don't know play extra stiff. But if we put the right shaft on the right head, this driver is really good. Now, I think I need to test some other shafts in it, because while I was getting great distance and rollout that I just don't get with my Cobra F9, I wasn't hitting fairways like I do with my F9. So it turns out that the ST200 driver head is lighter than most others, and it's designed to be played with a really light shaft. So I will, as soon as things get back to normal, I will go out to Gotham, see Fitter Nick, and try a bunch of different shafts, and also have him help me with the adjustments in the hosel to see if I can get my consistency better. If I can, that will be my driver for the year. If I can't, I'll stick with my F9. The extra spin for us mid to high handicappers is good because we get more roll, correct? That is very true. You need spin for several reasons, especially for slower swingers. Spin helps with launch initially. Then it helps with carry, getting the ball up and going. And then spin really helps us lower swingers, swing speeders, us who swing slower. It helps it keep it in the air. That spin helps keep it in the air. And a famous club fitter named Nick once told me, reverse spin reduces side spin. So in theory, for us average golfers, if we're getting more spin out of a driver, whether it's through the driver, the ball, the shaft, or any combination of those, we should be able to get more forgiveness, better carry numbers, better rollouts, and benefit us all more than not doing that properly. Thank you, Amy. So think about that next time you go to get a driver. Make sure if you get fit, you look at your spin numbers. Anything below 2,400, 25, if you're swinging 90 miles per hour or less, is too low spin. Now, if you love the driver, then you can work with a good club fitter who will put you in the right loft with the right shaft, and that could help increase your spin. So I hope everyone has their lunch. I have a little fresh pineapple here that I'm going to eat. Didn't want to pick something too chewy. Let's talk about another topic for a second. How does everybody think that the golf industry will change after this? So I'm including courses, public courses, privately owned courses, country clubs. I'm talking about privately owned golf shops, big box golf shops, and the OEMs. I would love to hear your opinions on what the future looks like for all those pieces that make up golf. And in my opinion, it's us, the average golfers, who make up the masses, that will decide how the golf industry bounces back. Will we rush out in big numbers to play? A lot of people are really hurting financially. I don't think sales are going to be what they were for a long time. And I think there may be some privately owned clubs that might struggle with this. So I'd love to know what your feelings are. What do you think? How will the big manufacturers respond to this and get through it? How will the big box chains and the privately owned stores as well as the golf? Does anyone have an opinion on that? Okay. Well, while I wait for that, I want to cover something else that really speaks a lot to me. I have been harping on my videos and social media that Titleist was the only company to post on the front of their webpage, and I checked all of them at the time, that they were going to give 15% of their sales from their website to coronavirus causes. They were the only one I checked, paying TaylorMade, Mizuno, Callaway, Cobra. I checked all of them. And at the time, they were the only ones. And I think that deserves some credit. Now, I just found out today that when I did my research before coming on, that Callaway is now doing the same at 10%. So I think every little bit helps. I really give my hats off to Callaway and Titleist, and I think it's a shame that all the other company manufacturers aren't following in the footsteps. So we got some comments here. Golf equipment is so hands-on when purchasing. I think we will still need retail stores to have the tactile success. Interesting comment. A lot of people want to try stuff before they buy it. Here's a problem. Golf stores like Golfdom will have people come in for a fitting. They'll pay a little bit for the fitting and then go hunt on the internet for cheaper clubs. So it's kind of a catch-22. Now, if you buy the clubs from where you got fitted, then they will dismiss the fitting charge and just sell you the clubs. So that's one way people work around that. Let me see if I can. I think Mash points out, I think some of the private courses will raise their prices to make up for lost revenue. The equipment makes much reduce the cost of golf equipment to attract more golfers. So, yeah, I agree. I think private courses, depending on in their demographic, will be okay, like Woodmont and Congressional, which are at the top of the financial food chain, and people already have to pay memberships. I think it's the mid-priced private clubs that are going to have to entice people to come back and join, which they were already having to do before this virus. I was getting emails weekly from private courses around here to join at greatly reduced rates. So I think that may hurt them. The golf equipment companies are going to have to do something. I agree with Mash. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to lower their prices. They're going to have to figure out some way to get the masses of people who play, who aren't wealthy, and some of who are struggling right now financially, to want to go out and buy new equipment. And I think that's going to be a hard sell unless they're offering great deals, which I don't see them doing. So I think new equipment sales are going to continue suffering for quite a while. We'll see how long it lasts and how aggressive these companies get. But early indications are, and from the people I've spoken to in the industry, including a few reps, don't see any sign of them reducing their inventory greatly to move items. The municipal courses will suffer because the states and counties don't have the budget to maintain their courses. Again, I think that depends on where you live. I think more affluent areas that have public courses or muni courses will probably do better. just because the people around them are wealthier. I think some of the courses that are closer to mid and low middle income will struggle a little more. MASH, do you think the courses will have to lower their prices to get people back? We know private clubs will, but do you think public county courses or munis will lower their prices to get golfers to come back? I think that's interesting. So Mitch says some public-private clubs are already suspending initiation fees and reducing monthly fee. South River, Queenstown have already sent me emails. I think I think you're going to see a lot of that. I have gotten emails from local clubs offering no initiation, ridiculously low monthly fees, and the membership won't start until it's safe to play. And I've gotten that from some surprisingly higher end courses in our area. I don't want to mention names, but it's almost overwhelming the daily emails I get. Private courses that allow public players, not private memberships. I think so they will want to save same volume. That's a really interesting point. So you have a private, or what some places call a semi-private course. If it's a private course and they open it up to the public to pay for play, would the members appreciate us going there and playing to help save their clubs? Or will the members be kind of up in arms about it, that they pay the money to join there and we shouldn't be allowed to go play there? But I think that's really smart to offer, especially for some that can't get members, to offer like a one-day membership where you get lunch and a greens fee to play a private course. I think the private courses that I know of that were in trouble before this, and striking out for members and lowering fees, I don't know what much more they can do when this is over. And that's the big question, when. So I think the factor is when we can get back out and play. And if that takes longer than sooner, what are those courses going to do who are already reaching out to all of us that are online to want to go and play? I was getting back to the Titleist in Callaway donating money to COVID-19 causes. I just want to add that I did mention that none of the other manufacturers even mention it on their website as of now, that I checked today. So I don't know about you guys, but when I can get out and play more, since Titleist started all this, I'm not going to take credit for it, but I have been all over social media and in my videos how Titleist stepped forward and all the companies were doing nothing. So for me, when I start playing again, I'm going to try to find a good Titleist golf ball that I can play to support them back for giving forward. So Mash, I see your comment. I don't quite understand what consolidation of golf courses is a good idea, meaning some courses will shut down and force players get. Okay, I get it. Well, so let's take where we live. Our membership for our county courses has 9 courses. We know, you and me and others know, which of those courses make 80% of the income for the county, and it's really 3 or 4. Some of the courses lose money or just borderline break even. I would not be surprised if a couple courses close until everything's totally normal, which who knows will that be, and to keep traffic to their busier courses, which right now aren't doing anything. That could make sense because those courses are successful and make money, and could help finance the future opening of some of their other courses. Yeah, I like that comment. It's always nice to support philanthropic companies. I agree. And that's why Titleist made a big impression on me when I saw that. And then I went to every other manufacturer's homepage and didn't see anything. So I will support them when we can play again. I don't know if that's going to mean longer playing times, MASH, at open courses, because I don't think people are going to rush out to play. I think hardcore people who maybe not took the stay at home as seriously as others, who maybe live alone, who are not at high risk, who aren't worried about bringing anything back home to their family. I think you're going to have a lot of people like that, me being one of them. I'm at home with my wife and 2 kids. I'm not going to rush out to play and worry about bringing something home. So until I feel really safe, and I can social distance and not touch anything that could be contaminated, I'm not going out to play. So I think it's going to take a while for these courses to build back up. And if you think about it, some of the courses that don't do much business, I can name one. I don't want to, but it's in our county, but pretty far away. There are 2 of them. They get very little play, and they lose money. I just happen to know that for a fact. So it would probably be smarter them to close those if we get open like for the rest of the year and try to reopen them in spring and stock up on their cash reserves, because I don't know if you know it or not, but the courses in our 9-county cluster are cutting the fairways and the greens. So they still have maintenance crews out there. I assume they're watering when they have to, so they still have some costs. So they're going to have to generate income to not only support the courses that do well, but also to support the courses that don't do well. So that should be interesting. I hope a lot of you got to see my review of the ST200, and I will update you once we can get out and get another shaft. And I can't highly recommend that club enough if I can find the right combination to get it forgiving. I do still have the Ping i500s. I've had them for a long time. I have played a few rounds with them. For those of you who may not know, the i500 is a almost player's profile iron. It's not big. So as you can see, the bottom line is not too thick. It's a good looking club. It's very satin, not too shiny, clean. It's hollow, and it has a tungsten weight in the toe. So this is following along the lines of the TaylorMade P790, the Mizuno HMB MP20s, and this new trend of more of a player's profile iron with lots of forgiveness and distance. One thing I've always thought of Ping is that all their clubs are forgiving, all of them. I've hit some of their more player profile clubs, and I find them amazingly forgiving. Part of the problem with Ping over the years with their drivers and their irons, they've always been forgiving, but they've always lacked a little behind in distance. So a lot of people would rather hit something consistent and hit from the fairway than be 20 yards further down and hit from a tree or the rough. But I think there's some new models coming out in Ping drivers this year, and I think they're going to address that and slowly catch up. The i500s are long. They're not ridiculously lofted like the Callaway Maverick standards. They're strong lofted, but not silly strong lofted. And I hit these the few times I've had them on the course. about a half a club longer than my stock irons, my P790s. So I'm anxious to get back out there when we can and give these things another try. Yeah, a lot of rain is good for golf courses, and it's bad. So the golf courses grow, but then the golf courses have to spend a lot of money in cutting the grass. So when it's busy and they have a lot of people on them, they love rain. But when it's not busy like now, it just adds more work for them because they have to cut everything. Now, they're not cutting the roughs, I hear, but they're not cutting everything. So are there any topics you guys would like to bring out that's on your mind? Golf, the virus, how the virus affects golf, what we're doing at home. Hi, Iron Fist, how you doing? What are you doing at home? I know Mitchell hits wiffle balls. I have been chipping in the back. I've been chipping in the backyard, which drives me crazy. It's like, giving a non-smoker a cigarette. It does drive me a little. So Iron Fist is a hay fever sufferer, and it is hay fever season in much of the country. How can I play golf with hay fever? Well, that's interesting because I have it too. And until last year, I was taking Zyrtec once a day in my entire life, every day of the year, which was recommended to me by a couple doctors. It turned out that I got much fewer colds and much fewer cold-like illnesses from my allergies, but I was also having a new side effect of the drug that I had to take. What I've had good luck with right now is taking Flonase nasal mist because you don't digest it. So it doesn't affect your system as well. And I don't know about you, Iron Fist, but part of my symptoms are like goopy eyes, runny eyes, and a runny nose. And since I've started taking the Flonase every day, it's helped. Now, there's a problem with that theory. The theory is I've been indoors most of the time. I mean, I go for walks and outside, but it's not like spending 4 hours on the golf course exposed to the pollen and everything that's blooming. So maybe the Flonase nasal mist will help you. That kind of sucks. So Iron Fist, he says he was meant to turn pro last year during my finals. I kept sneezing and my eyes were burning, so it ruined my last shot. That really sucks. I'm sorry for you, Iron Fist. I actually had a similar experience in my younger years when I was a scratch +1. I tried to qualify for the Kemper Open, which was our local tournament. And I did really well until about midway through the second 18, and my allergies got to me and kind of ruined the rest of the round too. What is your thought on the golf trip industry? I haven't given much thought to it. So that would require, hi HA, how you doing? No, I'm not friends with Rory McIlroy, HA. I wish I was, but I'm not. But I have made a new friend. I can't announce it now, but you look on the station. I will be interviewing a very famous golf personality in the near future. I'm really excited about it. And I think you guys will be amazed by this guy. What is my thought on the golf industry? So the golf industry, haven't given it much thought. I think when things loosen up, and again, it's going to be different in every state. So I live in Maryland. A lot of my friends live in Maryland. And let's say we wanted to go to Myrtle Beach for a golf trip. I think I would be nervous till they either had a medication that could make me not get sick and die, or a vaccine. I know people feel differently. I think there's still a lot they don't know. And I want to know, A, if I get sick from a golf trip, that I'm not going to get sick and die from it. And I am a little older. And the second part is if there's a vaccine and it works, then I'll feel perfectly comfortable doing that. I think it's going to hurt the golf industry. It's killing it right now. I know from what I read and research that a lot of golf resorts are basically closed and bleeding money and probably won't make it. Team Europe all the way. I love the rivalries in all the cups, but something special about the Ryder Cup. I root for the U.S. because I was born and raised here. I love the European teams because they rarely have the number of high-name players that the U.S. does. Excuse me. But they tend to kick our butts sometimes. I think that's fun to watch these guys making millions getting beat by younger Europeans who are just kind of building their careers. I think it's a great tournament. Can you give me tips on how to train someone? I'm trying to teach my girlfriend golf, but she keeps thinking, all right, I'll leave the last one. Iron Fist, I can tell you, buy her lessons. From my experience, I think it's really hard to teach people that is either your girlfriend, wife, or child. I have tried it. It's very frustrating, and I did have my teaching credentials for a while. But if I was in that position, I would ask a teaching pro that I know to help them. And then when they got confident enough, take them out on the course and, give them pointers to work on it. Medina was special. Wow. What a special course. And again, those moments are so fun. Sometimes they're funner to me than watching a major. It feels more like a team competition, which I know golf isn't. But that format is really fun for me to watch. And sometimes when I watch majors or tournaments on TV, you can usually kind of get a guess by Saturday who's going to be in the top three who may win it, whereas the Ryder Cup can change, or a President's Cup, within an hour. HA. Yeah, again, I think I'm currently reading a book called The Second Career of Tiger Woods. HAS, what did I think of Tiger's win at the Masters? And this book kind of details Tiger's career from getting arrested in Florida to 2 years later winning the Masters in 2019, and the perseverance and the growing and the discipline he had to learn to get back to that height. It's a great book. It's called The Second Career of Tiger Woods. And I really appreciate his win more now reading that book. I liked the win when he did it, but I really appreciated it more after reading the book and knowing what he went through. Okay. Iron Fist, my best advice, again, is to try to find an affordable local pro to get her the basics to the point where she can go on an executive course. You can help her on the range or on the course. But I think to get someone new, to get them the basics to where they can consistently make contact and hit the ball pretty good, you and your relationship would probably do better doing it that way. Let's see. The book is amazing. HA, it's a great read. I don't care what you think about Tiger as an athlete or a human being. this is really a story of individual struggle and fight, from some really low to his lowest time to the pinnacle of winning the Masters. And I learned a lot from it about myself, and how I view my golf game just from reading the book. Yeah, HA, give it up. Let a pro do it for a couple lessons, and if she likes it, then you might be able to start helping her after she has the basics. When the word pro is involved, people tend to take it more seriously. So that's an interesting question, Alex. There are several types of pros. So in my day, I'm 61, so 31 years ago, I actually had my PGA teaching credentials. So I was actually a member of the PGA, but and I could try to qualify for tournaments, but my membership level was just for teaching. Then there's another level of PGA professionals who qualify based on their prior year's wins and placement in points in the FedEx Cup, and also relies on their standing in the world. So they get their PGA card to play in pro tournaments automatically under those circumstances. Now, pro golfers who don't have a consistent record and have really fallen in the professional rankings worldwide have to requalify and go back to Q school. It's unfortunate, but that's how it works. HA, I agree. And I think, again, he's fought a lot of demons. I would have liked to have seen, I think he really started to decline a little bit when his dad passed. And he's fought a lot of demons. And I give him a lot of credit to returning to wearing a green jacket. You tried someone to hire her, but she came back and told me, got a hard one while showing her how. All right. Yeah, find another teacher there, Iron Fist. Alex, do you play golf? I took some lessons as a kid, but now I just do mini golf and stay updated with the sport. Lots of the men in my family are golfers, so I get sucked into it. Yeah, you kind of do. Sometimes it works out that way. Sometimes family members are glad to be rid of you for half a day or more while you're playing. HA, 100%. I'm glad he had one final moment. Maybe I can. And HA wants to teach you, Alex. I think Tiger's going to win more tournaments. I think it's going to be sporadically and here and there. Will he win another major? I think if you asked people a year and a half ago, they would say no way, but he pulled himself up and won the Masters. So I wouldn't underestimate him till he's in his early 50s. The guys who play on the senior tours now and when they went over 50 were nowhere near the physical shape of golfers today. Physical fitness is a much bigger part of the game. They added tour vans with gyms in them to go to each event. And a lot of these guys work out constantly, which I think will serve their bodies well, and they'll be able to swing and compete to older ages than golfers of the past who had a general reputation of not being in good shape. Is there one golfer I'd like to see win a major? So I guess my biggest one was Payne Stewart, and that still can bring a tear to my eye because I really loved him. Currently, that's a good question. I'm thinking of all the golfers out there. I can't think of one offhand. Do you have any suggestions? I haven't watched golf in so long. I'm starting to try to figure out who I like that haven't won a major. Um, okay, so let's keep this PG, guys. Um, Great to know I have options of teachers, but my family probably would be offended if I let anyone else teach them. Um, your family would probably welcome you going to a local pro and letting them teach you first. Ian Poulter, what a clutch player, especially in the Ryder Cups and stuff. I would like to see him win a major. I don't know if he's past that or not, if he still works on his game as much, but that would be a popular one. I agree. Yeah, I don't know too many people that don't like Justin Rose, HA. I think he's a little dry humor wise, but I think it's it's uh, it's his humor. But he's probably one of the most consistent pros of the last 12 years. It would be hard not to like him. He has a great work ethic, works really hard. I think maybe he made a mistake going to Hanma to their equipment. I think you'll probably see him switch from that pretty soon. And he can win a major at any time. At any time. Mash would like to see Phil win a U.S. Open. Yeah, Phil's getting up there in age. He's still one of the better short game players. I think it would have to be the right course that sets up for a control short game type of player, but I think it would certainly be popular to see Phil win a U.S. Open. Yeah, Iron Face. Let's keep it PG, please. Let's see. What's your ideal weather for a game of golf? Well, with bad knees, I would say 75 to 80, low humidity. When it gets hot and warm here, it can be tiring, but I got news for you. After going through this, I will never complain about good weather, hot weather, humid weather again. And if I have a slow round, I'm not going to complain either, not for a while. All right, HA and Iron Fist, we have to keep this PG or I'm going to have to take you off because there are women on right now. All right. Well, we're going to have to remove Iron Fist from the conversation because his comments aren't really appropriate on this forum. So anyway, what are you guys thinking about? What do you guys want to talk about? We've been doing this for a little while. I hope you got some lunch in. My favorite season to play. I would have to say spring. Not spring, fall. I love the spring weather, but my allergies don't love it. During the summer, I don't mind a hot day if it's not really one of our local uber humid days. Do play in the winter. It's my level of degree that I'm willing to play at now is a little higher than it used to be as I got older. I also find playing in the winter sometimes difficult because you have to wear layers and you can't take a full swing. And that brings up another point. Do you use softer compression balls in the winter? I know the theory behind it. I'd be anxious to know, Mitch Mash, HA, do you use lower compression balls in the winter so you can compress them more than you could a harder ball in the winter? I do. I don't use a ridiculously low compression ball, but I do go down to a lower compression ball in the winter for two reasons. I don't think they travel much further. They might. I think they just feel better, and the hard balls in the cold weather tend to feel really hard and jarring, especially if you don't pure it. So I just heard that the PGA is going to start some events soon without an audience, without members or fans walking the course. It's just going to be the players and TV. Does that appeal to you as much as watching it with fans? Is there a difference? Do you want to watch the Masters or the US Open played with no fans, or do you care? It's just the golfers. So I'd love to know your thoughts on that. For me, I really like the fans present. I like the reactions. I like how some of the golfers interact with the fans. And really, it's the fans that keep the sport going, not the professionals. We're the ones that finance it and pay for equipment and pay for clubs and pay for fees and all that stuff. But with that said, during the current circumstances, I would probably watch maybe the weekend, not all 4 days, and watch like Saturday and Sunday. I agree, Mitch. I think immediate fan feedback does affect the golfer's play. You've seen when people are on a roll, especially like Tiger last year, where the fans were just fanatic and just had to be feeding his fire to win. I've seen that in a lot of tournaments. So I agree. I know for me, and you may know, I always seem to play better when strangers are watching. That's my competitiveness. I don't know what, but I do seem to play better. Mash says, I am aware of some of the opinion, however, this winter I played with some of my old Titleist Pro Vs, and I was hitting them really well. That surprised me. Yeah, in theory, they should feel harder in the winter, just by what the insides of golf balls are made of now and the rubber compound. But if you hit them as good or better than a low compression ball, then you'll just hit them that much further when it warms up. So stick with it. A lot of people do. I do it more for the feel. I just love to see good golf. I'd still watch until the live fans return. Yeah, I kind of agree. I don't think I, again, would watch all 4 days, but I would certainly watch on a Saturday and a Sunday, and hopefully the top golfers would be involved, which would make it exciting to watch. This has been great, guys. We've covered a lot of areas. If anyone has any more comments, please let me know. And if not, we'll wind things up. I really hope everyone is doing well and staying safe, taking their proper precautions. And I hope we get through this a lot sooner than later. This shelter at home thing is difficult to find enough things to do to fill up your time. And then with downtime, your mind starts wondering what the future will be like, when will this be over, and so forth. So for everyone who joined today, I really want to thank you. I plan to do these often, and we'll try to get more participants. And that's about it. Mitch, thank you for being part of the conversation. I'm trying to provide content, even though I can't get a lot of equipment to review. But I do have a couple ideas. And again, I have a really exciting announcement that I can't announce to everybody. But I will be interviewing in the very near future, once we figure out the logistics, because we can't travel, a very, very, very world famous person associated with golf, which I'm really excited about, and I feel very lucky to be a part of it. So everyone take care, be safe, and when we can get on the course and start playing again, hit them straight.